And the next tool that I use is my own product, my own website called Alltop. And what Alltop is, it's an online magazine rack. We aggregate news by topics. Oh, that's Dave Satella if you're into PPC. So what we do here is we have gathered all the RSS feeds for about 850 topics. We go from adoption to zoology. And we display the 5 most recent stories from each RSS feed source. And then as you notice, if you mouse over the headline, it shows you what the headline is, the story, the first paragraph of the story. So we believe in fair use, and we believe it is fair use to take like a small piece of the source article to show you if it's worth clicking through. If you then decide that it is worth reading about the top plugins for WordPress from Shoe Money, then you click, and then you will actually go to the source. So think of Alltop as an online magazine rack. And we assemble all the magazines for you by racks. You come to us, you look at the magazine, you actually go to the source. So most people love the fact that they get listed on Alltop because we send them traffic, but we do not grab their stories, we do not grab their pictures. Okay? So I use this to find interesting stories all day long. And this is a very convenient way to position you as an expert. Let's say that you wanted to, these are all the topics that begin with S. So let's say that you wanted to position yourself as an expert in social media. So now this is socialmedia.alltop, and it has aggregated all the social media blogs, and then you can pick one to look at the story and decide if you want to click through. So I'm showing you Alltop not because I want to plug my own company, but I want to show you this is a third source for finding interesting things. So remember, Smart Brief is the one where this association, this group of people, human curate all the great stories and create a web page or a daily email. Stumble Upon is where you tell it, I'm interested in certain topics. Stumble, 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 find me stuff. Alltop is where we have it organized by topics. So I went along like this, very happy for a while. And then I had a blog at Posterous, or Posterous. I've never known which way to say that. And I'm an investor, and I don't know how to say that. So basically, the vision of Posterous is you send an email to an address, post@posterous.com, and boom, you're a blog. That's it. It takes that email and says, okay, from this email, we're going to create a blog. Then whenever you send other things to that post at Posterous, it continues to update your blog. It makes each email a post. And if you send a message with a music file or a photo or a video file attached, it deploys that. It puts it into an album. It makes a video for me. So anyway, I was doing that because I had this blog, a very serious blog about entrepreneurship and venture capital, but every once in a while I wanted to post a funny picture, I wanted to post a funny video, and it wasn't appropriate for my blog or American Express where I blog, so I created this Posterous thing. And I noticed that at this Posterous thing, which was kind of just me being funny and showing insights into my personal life, I was getting tens of thousands of page views for that. And if there's anything I hate in the world, it is not monetizing a page view. I mean, I just can't stand the thought that somebody clicked and I didn't make money on that. So then I created a website called Holy Cow using Posterous. And Holy Cow is a website where we find interesting stories, we summarize the story, 2 paragraphs or so, and then we post a landing page that then links to the final story. So this is an example. And Holy Cow is K-A-W. And the reason why it's K-A-W is because Holy C-O-W was taken. But my name is Kawasaki. And so I thought, that's funny. I'll make it Holy K-A-W, and it'll be pronounced Holy Cow. But lots of people say, Guy, why do you have a site called Holy Cow? And it's because, my name is not Kawasaki, it's Kawasaki. But anyway, so what we have here is we have grabbed a graphic from the source. we summarize the source, we grab a couple of paragraphs, and then we tell you the full list of this story is at this How website. Okay? And then over here, what we do is we have an internal link, a sponsored link, if you will, to our own Alltop topic about design. Okay, so let's just look at the monetization here. So again, the order is, we found an interesting source story. We wrote it up. You don't see it here, but there's a banner here, and there's a banner here, and a banner here. So we've sold 3 banners, and we've advertised to our own website. So we're self-referencing traffic. So what we've done here is we've monetized a way to find good source stories, summarize it, stick banners on it, stick links to our own site so that we get more traffic at design.alltop. And this has been very, very successful for us. And some people complain about this intermediate click, right? Because we found this thing, we summarized it. In the first place you view it is at a Holy Cow site. The second click takes you to the actual source. So a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, some people have complained, why don't you take us directly to the source? Why do you make us land on this Holy Cow page? And the answer to that is because that's where we have 3 banners. We're seeing a pattern here. And so that's where we have 3 banners, and that's where we have this internal link to our own website. So essentially I'm saying that the cost of us finding an interesting story and summarizing it is that you come to an intermediate landing page and give us a page view. That's the deal. And when people complain to me, honestly, I tell them, listen, if you want to go straight to the source, if you can go straight to the source and have found interesting things, God bless you. Don't use Holy Cow. Find your own interesting stuff. Leave me alone. But if you want us to find you interesting stuff and summarize it for you, the fee is a page view. And if your time is so valuable that you can't afford to stop at the page view, God bless you. Find your own interesting stuff. Get out of my face. Okay? So that's how Holy Cow works. And I'm going to show you more about Holy Cow. So now I started doing Holy Cow. I started getting monetizing this and getting successful. And then I figured out that, if it's just me, I only have so many hours in the day, so it would be great if I could find more people to find interesting stuff, summarize them, and put them on Holy Cow. So what I did is I found some people who were always posting interesting things. And National Geographic is one of those institutions. If you look at what National Geographic posts, it is 100% high quality. So then I got a very clever idea, and I contacted National Geographic, and I said, every once in a while we post a story from National Geographic at Holy Cow. But you guys are so good, basically we would take anything you want. So why don't I just give you a Holy Cow account, and then you decide what you want to post every day as much as you want to Holy Cow directly. So this is an example where someone at the National Geographic said, we like our story, photography tips, and we let the National Geographic post it by themselves. You see, this is the attribution. So these are contributors and ghosts to @Guy Kawasaki. This too upsets a lot of Twitter fascists because they think it's not sincere and you're not being transparent and you're not being honest because you have ghosts and it's a big fraud. Well, I don't know how much more transparent I can be than to give the attribution down here that National Geographic posted it. I make no secret that I have ghosts. So I look at @Guy Kawasaki as effectively sort of like, Ralph Lauren. If you believe that Ralph Lauren designed your blouse or your shirt personally, and then he cut the fabric and he sold it, God bless you. Believe that, okay? But he didn't. He really didn't. And neither did I post that. I am depending on, and I'll show you how many people. It's going to shock you. It's going to upset all these people on Twitter. And Guy's not being engaging, and he's not being transparent. Actually, I'm being very transparent. The thing about transparency is, if you ask for transparency, be careful what you ask for, because you might not like what you see. You don't want. It's not clear to me that every woman should wear a see-through dress. You know what I'm saying? nor every man. So there's such a thing as too much information, but I think I'm being very transparent. I give attribution right here to who actually posted this for me. And so I'll just open the kimono one level deeper. I will show you all the contributors. So all these people are contributing to @Guy Kawasaki. And the number of people is, if this thing loads, is roughly 20. There are 20 people contributing to @Guy Kawasaki. It's Discovery.com, National Geographic, the unofficial Apple weblog. It's a woman in Chicago, a woman in Toronto, a woman in Hawaii. Somehow it adds up to 20. I have lots of people contributing. And the assumption here is that the more smart people looking for good content, the more good content I'm going to find. Now, so when someone posts to Holy Cow, the title of the Holy Cow story automatically becomes the tweet, sort of like the Twitter feed program. And then we repeat Holy Cow headlines or stories 4 times every 8 hours too. Just like with Objective Marketer, where I manually did that. For the same reason. It's because we want to get maximum exposure for Holy Cow. And it's worked very well. And if you want to create a really sort of neat package where you find interesting stuff, you summarize it to a landing page, you point people to the original source. So the original source loves being on Holy Cow. We drive a lot of traffic to that. And so all these people are tweeting essentially as me. And so, you know, if you're following me right now and you're saying, Guy, you're giving a speech, how can you be tweeting? It's because of this. Oh, it's actually because of 2 factors. It's because 21 people are contributing and things are repeating 4 times every 8 hours. So something 32 hours ago just tweeted. Even though I'm sitting here, it just tweeted because it was automated, set up. Now, there's a disadvantage of that. Like, you know, we have to be careful when we cover news, because if we cover news and we tweet, you know, earthquake in Japan, 32 hours later, earthquake in Japan, the headline will come out again. That's one of the disadvantages of doing something, you know, 32 hours in advance. But so these are all the people who, at any given point, there's 21 of them, 21 contributors for Holy Cow. Now, some people have complained that because of the repeats and because of the sheer volume, I probably tweet between 50 and 100 times a day. And some people think that that is just too much of a fire hose. So I have a solution besides UFM. The intermediate solution is something called @Alltop. So @Alltop has none of the repeats. It's only singles. So any Holy Cow story gets tweeted once, not 4 times. So @Alltop is like Guy Kawasaki light. And you get roughly 1/4 the tweets. The people who really complain about repetition and the sheer volume of my tweets are typically the newest people to Twitter. And the funny thing is, there's something about newbies that, you know, when they first join Twitter, and you look at their profile and they say, Guy, you spam me, you're a heinous pain in the ass, you flood my timeline, et cetera, et cetera. And then I click on their background information, and they've been a member for 60 days, they follow 15 people, they are followed by 15 people. Those 15 people who follow them are all avatars for porn sites. And they've tweeted 6 times, and they're telling me I use Twitter wrong. And so, you know, admittedly, if you're following 15 people and I'm one of them, guess what? I will own your timeline. It's like you bought a TV and there's only one channel, QVC. So, you know, those people, depending on what mood I'm in and the level of fervor that they use in complaining about me, I either tell them to off them or I tell them to follow @Alltop. It's just like what time of day it is for me. Okay, so that's more inside the kimono contributors. Some tools that I use. I'm kind of obsessed with Twitter Counter. What Twitter Counter does is it shows you how many new followers you've gained and lost every day. It is a site that takes a long time to load. So you have to be patient, but the graph is eventually going to load there. But you can see that yesterday I gained 466 followers, and I stopped following 12 people. What I do is I automate my following. Anybody who follows me, I follow back. And the reason why I do that is twofold. First, I think it's out of respect. If someone is essentially following me, I think the message I get is, I think you're good enough to follow. And so I think just out of mutual respect, I want to say back to them, I think you're good enough to follow too, so I will follow you. That's number one. Number two is, I don't at all mind getting direct messages. And so the only way that you can send me a direct message is if I follow you. Because I often get frustrated where I want to send a direct message to somebody and they're not following me, so I can't do it. So, I'm eating my own dog food. So roughly, 300,000 people can direct message me. And I have to tell you that I don't get that many direct messages. You may think that is a very scary thought that so many people can direct message you, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, for better or for worse. So that's Twitter counter, and there usually is a graph right here, but sometimes it just doesn't draw. This is a very interesting business, by the way, Twitter counter. They sell these ads here. These are people, featured Twitter users. These are the people who have paid the site to be there so that they can get more followers. And apparently, it's a very lucrative business, so hallelujah, And so it has all these other things like how many times I was mentioned yesterday, how many retweets I had yesterday. So I had 874 retweets yesterday. Go figure. And I don't retweet very often, and I don't mention too often. Now, I just want to clarify one thing. Now, you're probably, some of you are in shock, and you may be appalled that I have 21 contributors. Contributor is a good word for ghosts. And I will tell you that if you get an @ message from me or a direct message from me, it is only me, okay? The ghosts and the contributors only push out news stories. If you ask me a question or you mention me or you direct message me, nobody answers but me. So I am pushing out links through 21 people, but if you get answered by me one-on-one, it truly is me. Nobody ghosts for me on Twitter. Okay, that's a very important distinction that I want to make. So that's Twitter counter. Another site that I use a lot to figure out what's going on is a site called Twitter Grader. And basically, Twitter Grader looks at the quality of your interactions, the amount of stuff you tweet, how you tweet, and all that. And they calculate just how good you are as a Twitter user. How influential are you? How many times do you get retweeted? How many times do you tweet? It's like I don't know how to game this. If I knew, I would try to game it more. I don't know what the algorithm is. It too takes a long time to draw. But this is a very useful site. It's very useful because you can see who this algorithm considers the most influential, that you can pick up tips from the top Twitter Grader users. At any given moment, I'm usually in the top 10. But it will have to draw for us to see that, and it's not drawing right now. So that's Twitter Grader. Another tool that I use is Clout. Clout is a thing that measures, it gives you a grade for how influential and how good you tweet. So all these things take a very long time to draw. I think it's because they're like calculating on the fly, how good you are. Just tell me how good I was yesterday, that would be good enough. So those are the three tools that I use all the time. Twitter Counter, Twitter Grader, and Clout. And now I will go to, I was a latecomer to Facebook. So just recently I created a Facebook fan page for my book Enchantment, and I'll tell you, it's been a really, really useful experience. So this is a custom FBML page for my fan page. It was made by a company called HyperArts in Oakland, California. So what I have is a tab. This Enchantment tab explains about the book. This one puts up all the blurbs about it. This is an excerpt, and this is an order page. So this stuff is done all in FBML. One power tip I want to give to you is, just like people want more followers on Twitter, you want more fans on Facebook. And the way I found to get more fans is I have these special offers. So if you like this page, like in quotes, not feel an affinity for, I mean like, you click the like button, then if you click this thing, this is called the reveal strategy of Facebook. So if you like it, you get revealed a different page. And that page then offers you a free PDF download of my first book, The Macintosh Way, or an excerpt of The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss. And this page now has 19,000 fans. I went from 8,000 to 13,000 in 3 days when I offered this. So I gained 5,000 followers in 3 days by offering the Macintosh Way PDF. Now, compared to Starbucks, which has, I don't know, 15 million fans, it's not a big deal. But for most people, gaining 5,000 fans in a few days is a big deal. So that's one number I want to make you aware of, and one technique. Look up, if you just search in Google for Reveal Facebook, and it is a very, very interesting practice. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. Another thing I wanted to show you on Facebook is I created a quiz at Facebook where you can take a quiz to figure out how enchanting you are, and you take these tests, these questions, and then at the end it gives you a score. And so first I did it on Facebook because I figured, well, 600 million on Facebook, that's the third most populated country in the world. There's China, India, and Facebook. So, more or less I'll get everybody that I want. So I started with only Facebook, and this was done by wildfire. And then eventually I got around, I said, maybe I should also do a web version of this, so if people who are not on Facebook. So then I had my buddies at Electric Pulp do this, which is a web version. So now you don't have to be in Facebook to take the quiz. And GREAT stands for Guy's Realistic Enchantment Achievement Aptitude Tests. Guy's Realistic Enchantment Aptitude Tests. How great are you? And so here's the number that the last number I'm going to tell you. To my utter amazement, with website version of this quiz out 3 weeks less than the Facebook version of this test, the relative count is 700 people took the quiz on Facebook and 2,900 people took it on the web. So if you believe that you should completely focus all your marketing on Facebook fan pages, it is a mistake. And even if it was 700 versus 350, I would have made the case it was a mistake, that the web still has 50% of the Facebook action, but it has 4 times the action on the web than on Facebook, and I was just stunned. It was a big mistake that I made. I should have had the website version come out at the same time. So in this 50 minutes that I've had, I've tried to show you how I find interesting content for Twitter. I showed you my retweeting strategy, or my repeating strategy. I showed you how I use contributors and ghosts to find interesting content. I showed you the metrics that I use, the clout and the Twitter counter, to figure out, am I doing a good job or not, to measure how I'm doing. I showed you techniques to find the interesting content, i.e. Smart Brief, Alltop, and Stumble Upon. And finally, I'm making an appeal for you that you do Facebook fan pages, and the most powerful thing I found to get more fans on Facebook is to use the reveal strategy, where if you like a page, you get a special offer. And the final thing I showed you is that I don't think you should wholly depend on Facebook even now, because I got 4 times more action on a website quiz than on a Facebook quiz. And that's as much information as I can give you for what I do with social media in 50 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.